So today, shook you again. Hi, today I'm going to be testing out this new watercolour sketchbook that I got. This is the Blue Acorn, I don't know if that will come up. Oh, Blue Acorn sketchbook. It is watercolour and pages are nice and thick. There is a slight texture, but not too much. Now, the book didn't have the usual back pocket, so what I've done is taken off the band that was round the edge of the book and I've stuck it in the back. So now I do have a little pocket and I can keep pictures in there if I want to. I don't always use those pockets, but they're nice to have. So here's a little bit more about the book. It's 200 GSM, 60 pages, and I'm looking forward to using it. It does feel quite like the Sea White of Brighton's, but maybe a bit thicker and a bit creamier. I don't have another Sea White's one handy to do a comparison right now. So a couple of weeks ago, I went to Woodbridge to join in with Sketchfest, which was a whole series of workshops over a weekend. The weather was absolutely atrocious on the Saturday. It got really, really wet. However, this here is the Tide Mill, this building here, and Art Safari, who ran the weekend, are based in this building here. A great team of people and a really great fun weekend. Met loads of lovely people and I learnt loads of stuff. And for the first time did a significant amount of outdoor painting, which I don't usually do. I get too self-conscious. But when there were other people there, it made me feel a little bit better. So for this today, I'm not going to go into doing all the detail of all of these boats and things that you see in this picture. I will do a little bit of the Tide Mill, I will do the sky, and I just want to see if I can do some of the stuff I learned on that weekend. So join me and see where we go. For this today, I'm going to be using the Artful watercolours because that's what I happen to have handy. I do like these watercolours. These ones in the middle are the fluorescent colours. So I am aware that the colours I'm going to use today are not the same ones as I practised with on the weekend because I used my Winsor & Newton ones for those. But let's see. Just see how this paper reacts really. So for the sky, I'm going to want a couple of really big brushes because I'll do a nice flat wash. Well, it won't be so flat actually. There'll be quite a lot of different tones and shades used in it. So let's start by just sketching very loosely where everything is going to go. And like I said, I'm not drawing everything in this picture at all. So the horizon is quite, not the horizon, sorry, the trees. They're quite low down the picture. And I'm not going to replicate this picture exactly, so please forgive me. I'm using a Pentel Side FX, which I think I got in a box or something. I can't remember, but I do like it. I like this little bit here where you press to get more lead to come out. So that's the trees. We've got a bit here. We've got the mud flats here, and they kind of go in and out a bit. So I'm not drawing this exactly. I also don't want to do the Tide Mill exactly in the middle of the page. I'm going to do it slightly more over to the side. Hopefully that's enough. The tide mill roof is level with those trees, so I clearly need to do it a bit bigger, a bit wider. It is wider than it is taller, so. Did I mention I'm not doing an exact picture? The roof on this is quite... Oh yeah, I've done that a bit tall now, haven't I? Kneadable eraser. So the pencil marks go out quite nicely. Yeah, so probably more about there. And these are kind of like a Dutch barn type roof, quite a steep roof that goes back. Beautiful in the sunshine, and in fact just as nice in the rain as well. Probably a bit fat there, but never mind. And that's probably not quite right as well. So for the actual tide mill, I will be leaving the paper white to do the work of pretending to be the white of the tide mill. I'm not going to draw in all the details of the windows at the moment. I'll do those when I get on to sketching. So this little building here is a bit shorter. See a little bit of the white there. Well, it's not really white, it's more of a grey. So this bit where the sun's hitting it, that will be very white, and this bit here will be more of a bluey grey. It was really nice on this Sketchfest weekend because there was a whole range of different tutors who had different experiences, different styles. Amazing to see some of them work so quickly. Oh my goodness, I'm used to going to art class on a Monday night and having more or less 2 hours to do our paintings and drawings. Well, I tell you, on this Sketchfest weekend, it was funny because some of the sessions were demos, so that was fine, we just watched. Sometimes you could try and draw along at the same time, and that was quite fun. And then I made quite a lot of notes actually, because I like to be able to read back what things I've learned. And other times they were actual workshops. Well, I was so slow. And I would be painstakingly trying to get the details. But let me tell you, the clue was in the title, Sketchfest. Sketch, not draw accurately. Sketch. So, like for this one, I'm taking way too long to actually draw everything or sketch everything, but I'm quite enjoying it. That sounds a bit bent. At the end of this video, I'll pop in a picture of the watercolour that I actually did on the actual weekend. That was the other thing. I actually thought I was using my Sea White's watercolour sketchbook. It turned out I wasn't. I was actually using the mixed media sketchbook. So when it came to getting some of the effects in the sky and things like that, it didn't exactly work out. It was different paper obviously, and watercolour paper behaves very differently to mixed media paper. One of the things I did treat myself to was the gentleman whose name I've forgotten from Two Rivers paper was there. So that's a handmade cotton rag paper. Just going to put in some of these boys just so that I don't forget to put them in. Not too big, but just big enough to know that they're there. They'll make a nice little pop of orange. So what was I saying? Yes, so I bought a very nice 400 GSM watercolour book. I'm going to see how long it takes me to actually use it. It was quite expensive, but the paper is lovely. And he gave a really nice talk about how they actually make the paper and where the cotton comes from and all that kind of thing. Things that you wouldn't normally get to find out, really. One of the big things I learned is that when it comes to doing these boats and things, you don't have to go into a lot of detail for people to know that they're boats. So that one may just be enough. And that, sorry, I've just realised you can't see the picture. That boat there does have a very flat bottom. This one here has a rounded one, and this one here, it looks flat, but in fact there is a slight curve. Shall I put that one in? I did do it on my other one and I made a bit of a mess of it, so let's see if I can do it better here. Actually, it's a bit higher up than that one. Speed up, Sue, speed up. This is a sketch, not proper drawing. Just need to get the placement of these things. And then I was amazed at how, just with like a couple of strokes of the brush, some of the tutors got all the detail in there. And you could tell it was a boat, and mine was like, oh my goodness, so not a boat. I'll do for that one. And then over this side, I think, should we put that little one there in? I think so. That's a slight angle. And then it does kind of curve up, and there's a space between the boat and the water. So too much of a curve. Let's do it like that. I'm not going to go into all the detail that's there. It's so tiny, you just can't really see it. I'm just going to do that little line there to remind me that there is a slight gap. There's also a little boy there. I should probably do this one. Am I going to? Don't know. It is more of a straightforward shape, however it's also bang in the middle of the paper. I think for this first page that may well be enough. So over here I'm just going to finish off by doing some trees. I'm going to ignore those buildings. So with the trees here, around about here, because we've got trees, grass, mud, water. So there's the grass. So yeah, this needs to come down here a bit more. And then go up there. That's close enough. Right. So we're going to start with the sky. And like I said earlier, I'm using my Artful watercolours. So these are not the same colours as I had before. And to get this moody sky, you see there's some white bits and some quite blue bits and some really dark grey bits. I think we actually used ultramarine and burnt sienna, but I wouldn't put money on it. And today I've got a choice between cobalt blue and Prussian blue. Let's go with cobalt blue. Oh, nice blue. So I'm going to mix the cobalt blue and the burnt sienna. Oh yes, that gives a nice deep moody blue. Just going to put some more paint on just in case I need it. So I'm going to sound quite nervous to start this actually. First page in a new sketchbook and all. So this was where I think I went slightly wrong when I was doing my when I was doing the workshop for this, because where I was using the mixed media paper instead of watercolour paper, we had to wet the paper for the sky and then drop in the mix of blue and brown for the sky, for the clouds in the sky. Well, of course, my paper had dried up quite quickly because it wasn't watercolour paper, so I wasn't getting the same results, and I did get quite frustrated. However, it was still a fun class. I should say that the workshops, some of the workshops, that should be lower down, were 2 hours long. So we spent all afternoon on this one painting. It was so lovely watching Julia, I think it was, paint this picture, because her skill's just off the chart, absolutely amazing. And it's one of the reasons why I like to write things down, because I learnt so much from her. It's about paint, about how to go about breaking down a subject like this, about not messing too much and just letting the, oh, it's a bit brown, that bit, just letting the paint do its thing. And so this is the Blue Acorn watercolour book, so it's my first time using it. So I'm not entirely familiar with how it's going to behave. Might behave well, might behave badly, I don't know. It's also slightly different using these paints because they're not the ones that we used on the day I used my Winsor & Newton paints, and you can see actually where I've got so much water on this, even though it's 200 GSM, there is a lot of buckling. Probably because I haven't got it taped down. But it's a sketchbook. These are not paintings that I'm going to be selling anytime soon. I won't be displaying them anywhere. This is purely for me. Just to have fun and play, really. Need a bit more dark along there. Quite liking how this is coming along so far. And please remember, I'm not a watercolour expert. I'm purely doing this channel for fun. And this isn't a tutorial, this is just me playing around and seeing what will happen with this, this watercolour sketchbook. Blue up here, I think. I meant to just drop it in and see what it does. So let's do that. Blue down here as well, maybe. Oh, yes, that's going to make it more moody. I don't think, well, again, I'm not an expert, I don't think that this is cotton paper. It's cellulose. There's nothing on the packaging to say that it's either cotton or cellulose. It is painting quite nice. Okay. Is that a moody sky? I'm going to say yes. It's important not to end up overworking this. But I'm quite happy with that. That'll do. So for the trees, we won't do those just yet because that bit there's still wet, and you can see just how much wrinklage we've got in this. That's quite a lot for 200 GSM, I think. Can't remember what paper I usually use. Anyway, I'm just going to soften that edge there a bit. Right, can't do the roofs because they are next to the wet paint. We can do the water. Now, the water is reflected from the sky, or the sky is reflected from the water, whichever way around you want to think about it. So it is a mixture still of the blue and the brown. Probably more brown. And you can see where there's like little sparkles on the river. It's not the sea, sorry, I made a mistake there. On the river, So you kind of want to get those in by using a bit of a dry brush technique. I'm not quite sure I've got the right colour for this. So I'm going to add in, should we do a bit of yellow ochre? That might make it a bit green. Strong stuff, this yellow ochre. I think I'm quite happy with it actually. It is kind of greeny and kind of muddy. Should we just go for it and see what happens? I think so. Let's start over here. So that's the trees. It's a bit of grass. No, that does look a bit green. Brown maybe. So this looks to me to be a bit more mud flats colour. Doesn't really look very watery. It's not quite brown enough to be the mud flats colour, so that's a bit more brown. There are different tones of brown in there. This more bluey for the water. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that colour. So we've got mud flats. trees. Let's have some trees. So these are quite a dark green. Okay, is there anything else I want to do to this today? And the answer is probably not. There's a lot more I could do to it, but I'm not going to because I've had enough. So there was my reference picture. And here is what I have painted in the Blue Acorn watercolour sketchbook. And look at that lovely effect in the sky. Out of all of this, I think I'm most pleased with the sky. In terms of the sketchbook, well, that still feels quite damp, but it's gone quite wrinkly, as you can probably see on the side there. It will flatten out a bit, and obviously I can close the front when it's totally dry. I quite enjoyed using that paper, and hope you've enjoyed watching the video. Thanks very much. Bye.